Are you ready for a story that's so relatable it literally makes you laugh out loud? One that lights you up like that first text you received from your first crush? A book that will have you screaming, "What? You're kidding!" And, "Oh my god, same." Well, this is it. This fast and loosely autobiographical book, get it? Will captivate you until the very end. Sounds legit, right? I felt empowered, wearing my matching set of bright red tank top and shorts that read Heartbreaker across the boobs, which made them look even bigger. So he really should have seen it coming. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Flo Show with a very special episode. I'm a little bit scared, a little bit nervous, but today, if you don't already know, I have written a book about everyone I ever dated. Yeah. I looked at people like Taylor Swift, Ariana Grande, every other person that's written a breakup song. I was like, you know what I really admire? How they're making money off their breakups. I would love that. So I decided to write a book about everybody I ever dated. It's like a mostly true memoir style book featuring me, Flo. Surprise. Navigating my way through relatable yet unbelievably hilarious dating life stories. I'm going to be recording the first chapter of my book today.
All I ever wanted growing up was a boyfriend. Seriously, that is all I wanted. Deep down in my soul, all I dreamed about was having a boy to love me. Not just love me though, probably because I didn't know what that meant. I wanted to be the center of his world. I wanted a man to obsess over me, protect me, save me, think about me constantly, dream about me. I feel like a lot of people can relate to feeling that way, but looking back, it just seems so ridiculous and sad to have been a child and to have wanted that desperately to call someone my boyfriend. I was truly the definition of boy crazy. From the time I was very small, even as young as 5 years old, I have memories of deciding who would be my boyfriend on every TV show I watched. In my imagination, I mean, of course. My little undeveloped brain would determine which guy was the one in charge, the alpha, and or who was the best looking. And once the target was selected, my imagination would run wild. Visions of myself being his main woman. Any show I watched, didn't matter. Power Rangers? I saw myself as a mysterious purple ranger that the Red Ranger was head over heels for. So weird. Ninja Turtles, do you remember those 90s movie Ninja Turtles? I imagined myself as a 6-foot turtle girl, aka a turtle with eyelashes and shell boobs, wearing a pink mask bandana, and obviously they were all in love with me. So weird. I even pictured myself as being a girl version of The Mask, with a pink face instead of a green one. And then Jim Carrey obviously fell in love with me. I was 6 when I saw that movie, so that's weird. Someone relate to this, please, so I don't feel so weird about it. I am now, / always have been and always will be, a boy crazy girly girl. A BCGG, if you will. I love a good abbreviation. Yes, I was everything you would picture a BCGG to be, except that it was just in my head. On the outside, I was shy. Nosy brown hair, a forced smile, and a passion for lip syncing in my bedroom. And getting good grades. On the inside, I wanted to be the star of my life, a sultry, serenading bombshell that always got the guy. I always daydreamed up scenarios where I would have to sing in front of everyone, at my school, or anywhere really, and the boys in the vicinity would just become smitten. But like most young girls, I didn't want anyone to have the slightest clue that I thought about these things. How embarrassing would that be? I would have been mortified if anyone had known how the gears in my brain turned. In fact, I used to, still do, have sudden trains of thought that burst into my mind that maliciously suggest, what if someone in this room can read minds right now?
And then I spiral into a miniature internal anxiety attack until something else distracts me.
What was I saying? The BCGG. What does that really mean in this day and age? It may be a little anti-feminist of me to say, but how else does one describe being obsessed with all things pink, sparkles, Barbie, nail polish, fashion, magazine, Sailor Moon, and whatever else I've missed? This was the 90s after all, so just dial your brain back about 25 or so years of progression in human rights and you'll be in the right mindset. I grew up in a middle-class suburb. It really was an incredibly stereotypical suburb, something out of a Hallmark movie, so life was, for the most part, uneventful growing up. I went to your typical suburban public school, participated in typical suburban activities, and I had typical suburban friends. The story will get better, I promise. But in my mind, I craved more than that. Looking back on my life, I know now how blessed I was, but at the time, it all seemed so boring. I felt like I was destined for a life that was much more exciting, so much more than this provincial life. I hope you get that. I thought it could never be enough for me. I was always a girl with a flair for the dramatic, and if there was one thing I knew for sure, the simple life was not for me. That couldn't be my destiny. My own mother named me Florence Emily Aver because she thought it had a good flow to it for an author. No pun intended. But actually totally pun intended. So that's how I was bestowed with such a dramatic name. It's actually probably good for you to know that I've gone by Emily for my whole life until I was in my 20s, which is when I started going by Flo for my musical/Broadway/modeling career. Shit, squirrel brain. Squirrel! I promise this will happen less once we get into the story. Like I was saying before my own train of thought rudely interrupted, I was always very interested in, obsessed with, boys. In the historic words of Lizzo, I like big boys, itty bitty boys, Mississippi boys, inner city boys, all the boys. There. I think that's everything you need to know. Now we can begin. I will always remember my first real crush. I say real crush because this was the first boy that I remember attempting to manipulate into liking me. Or is that just called flirting? Regardless, the boy was Charlie Hiltz. Oh, how I liked Charlie. I can't say loved because that's ridiculous. My crush developed when we were placed in the same cluster of desks in our 4th grade class, destined to be together. Like I told you, I wasn't obvious with my love. I wasn't writing our names together on notebook or talking about him nonstop. I've always actually been extremely private with my boy-watching, fantasizing ways. Even now, decades later, everyone who I've shared the first draft of this book with has been absolutely shocked that these were my inner thoughts, including my parents. Not a single soul ever would have suspected I was planning our future in great detail. Things with Charlie started to get serious after the Christmas of 1999, as serious as things can get when you're 9. When we returned to school in the new year, fate bestowed on me a belated Christmas present. Sitting at our cluster of desks, Charlie bragged that he had gotten a Nintendo 64 from good old St. Nicholas. So had I. That was it. My destiny. True fucking love. My deviously crafty 9-year-old brain knew it was meant to be. The gears were turning. The stars were aligning. Brilliant. We discussed which characters we always chose to be in Mario Kart. He flirtatiously, probably not, teased me about being on higher levels than me. Of course, I was not on a higher level than him because I'm a secret gamer girl, but I wasn't going to reveal that and challenge his fragile masculinity. And then he asked me what other games I had.
What games do you have?
He said in his high-pitched 9-year-old voice. We both had Donkey Kong 64. Naturally, it was the perfect opportunity for us to become husband and wife. I dropped some casual hints about the difficulty I was having, not really knowing what I was doing. I was obviously already a master manipulator. I told him I couldn't get past the 5th level, and that's when it happened. My manipulative ways had sparked something, inspired him to give me the response I was dreaming of. I could probably help you. I'm really good. My heart skipped a beat at the thought of us sitting on a couch playing Nintendo. Charlie Hiltz would be my husband. True fucking love. That's what's up. I believe that was the moment that I discovered and mastered-ish the art of flirtation. It clicked in my brain. If I showed a weakness of some sort or emphasized I needed help, specifically from some boy who was oh so much wiser than me, they would jump at the chance to show me the way, to tell me that they knew best, to inflate their ego. Now, this may come as a shock to you, but Charlie and I never really worked out. I didn't have the nerve to follow up. I didn't have the guts to ask him for his phone number, which would have been his home landline at the time, which his mom would have had to answer before I could hear that sweet voice I longed to call mine. Alas, our love was not meant to be. So for the next 3 years, I moved on to the subsequent series of They Probably Never Knew It crushes from afar, or perhaps a more concise way to put it, almost every boy I encountered in my day-to-day life. For my grade alone, there was Andy Thatcher, Aaron Holbrook, Justin Stone, Jake Waller, Max Cohen. The list truly goes on and on. My brain was a little hoe. Obviously, I myself was not. I was 9, so get your frickin' brain out of the gutter. But seriously, my little 9-year-old self was definitely a secret hoe. Or at least I really wanted to be. It wasn't until 8th grade, a much, much more mature 13 years of age, that I had my first real boyfriend. 2003. I remember it like it was yesterday. Again, I have to paint the picture for you because it was such a magical time to be alive. Juicy Couture, sweatsuits, the OC, Britney and Madonna's kiss at the MVAs, Beyonce's solo career, which was only just beginning, and my personal favorite, MSN Instant Messenger. What a time to be alive. Instant Messenger became my life? It sounds so stupid and sad, but to be fair, it wasn't just my life, it was pretty much everyone's life who was an angst-ridden 12 to 18-year-old. If you were there, you experienced it. If you don't know, MSN wasn't just about instant messaging. It really wasn't the same as texting. It was an entirely different experience. So don't know / can't relate to the experience that it was. I just need to take a moment to paint that picture for you. If you do know, you can just laugh at the accuracy. MSN was like my gateway drug into the world of relationships. As young teenagers, we poured out our desires and emotions to each other without almost any risk. When I say without almost any risk, I mean you could instant message that guy that you had a crush on since kindergarten professing your love, calling them cute or hot. Lol, I think you're hot. And if your professions of love weren't received well, or you just didn't get a response at all, you could always say, OMG, sorry, that was my friend. She's so weird. If that wasn't your style, you could be much less forward and go for the hello, talk to me approach, simply appearing offline, then appearing online again, over and over in hopes that your crush would see your name pop up on the screen so much that eventually they would strike up a conversation with you. It was also the beginning of catfish era, and I was absolutely obsessed with it. If you were really sneaky, you could easily create a new ridiculous email address and pretend to be someone else entirely. Some personal memorable favorites include crazy_kid519, XX_drama queen_XX, sexy_dream_babe 6969. Possibilities and variations of where the X's and 69 went were endless, so it was easy to assume a new life as some random girl from any other school. It was all the rage and all the drama that our 12 to 15-year-old brains could come up with, but it was awesome. Every day after school, I would tell my parents I had to go on the computer because I had homework. But in reality, I was engaging in hours and hours of nothing conversations with everyone I knew. I spent so much of my time leading conversations in just the right way to bait boys I was interested in to tell me they loved me. It didn't ever really happen. I was a shy-ish ugly duckling back then. I mean, not in reality, but in my brain at least. And if you feel it in your brain, it usually transcends outwards. I had the early 2000s version of blonde highlights, which meant I convinced my mom to let me use the rest of her Root touch-up kits, which resulted in a really horrible half blonde, half most brown version of the Rachel. I had a naturally curvy figure. I mean, I got my first bra in grade 4 for Christmas, and I cried. I was fat because I wasn't naturally thin like the other girls I was friends with. And to boot, no fashions that were in style back at that time were remotely flattering on me. The look was Cameron Diaz, surfer chick, tomboyish, straight hips, wearing low-rise hip hugging jeans. And I had the hips of, well, I don't know. Either way, it wasn't a good look for me. I was not confident at all, but life went on. And despite my confidence level, I continued on my hunt for the perfect boyfriend, aka a boyfriend. 8th grade started just like every grade started. I scrolled through my class list, putting check marks beside the names of people I liked and X's beside people I didn't like, and hearts beside the names of boys that were, in my mind, acceptably hot enough to consider dating. So all of them except for weirdos. I hadn't landed my first official boyfriend yet, but I was going to be 13 soon, and that was going to change everything. And that is the end of part 1 of my chapter. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss out the next 2 parts. I'm going to be featuring them next 2 Sundays coming up. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. Press the like button if you liked the first part of this chapter. It's going to get way more exciting. I promise you, you are not going to want to miss this. Stay fierce, frugal, and fabulous, and we'll see you next time.